Hey, and welcome back to another video from my Vintage Tech Showcase playlist, the playlist of videos where I showcase older mobile phones and soon to do iPods as well in a sort of retro style review. And what I have for you here today is the Nokia 7380 from 2005. Now, for a bit of history, the 7380 was a fashion-oriented phone, because as you can see with its design, it's really stylish and flashy. It was aimed mostly at a female user base, with, as you can see, its front also acts as a mirror when turned off. The entire front acts as a mirror. That's because obviously you can do your makeup when the phone's displays off, and it is the direct successor to the Nokia 7280, which also had a mirror, but the display was much smaller. So as you can see there, I have to do a video on the 7280 as well, but I have to swap batteries because the batteries on these phones are this one's for batteries completely fried. This one's battery is really weak, hence why it's plugged in. So these were aimed at a more female user base, and they were really stylish, and they were more towards the more pricier range. So they were expensive. That is kind of evident with the build quality, because as you can see, the back of the phone is made of leather. There is a leather strip like thing there, the plastic around it, but then this is either sheep or bovine leather, bovine as in cow. So it's either sheep or cow, but this is real leather. When you touch it, you can actually feel it. It's real leather. So this was clearly a premium phone, wasn't on the cheaper end. And in this video, we'll be doing a full sort of retro review on this. But before we jump right in, don't forget to smash that like button and hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. And don't forget to check out all my social media down in the description below, which includes Instagram, Discord, and Twitter. And now let's jump right into this video. So now for a quick go around of the 7380, just to have a quick look over the body. So up front we have the reflective display like piece of glass like thing. It's actually not glass, it is plastic. But there's a reflective surface underneath. As you can see, that's the phone I'm recording this on, an iPhone 11. As you can see, it reflects perfectly. The ear speaker is over here, Nokia branding, a bit of a floral kind of design up there. The display is actually here, and we'll talk about that in a bit. It's under the reflective coating. The roller kind of obviously navigation, because this roll wheel like thing, this wheel is the only way to navigate on this, because there's no physical keypad or anything. This has a total of 5 buttons. So everything on this phone is done with those buttons, and that's the front of the phone. At the bottom of the phone we have our 2.5mm headphone jack, our charging port, which is the older thicker barrel charger. There is also a USB port, as you can see there, so you can plug it to your computer. That is a, I forgot exactly, I think it's USB type B mini. If that's not the one, I'll put it up here, but I'm pretty sure that's as you can see there, that's USB type B mini. If it's not the case, I'll put it up there. And over here we have the microphone as well, and also a place to put your lanyard. As you can see there, you can put a lanyard strap on there if you wish to do so, because this phone is the ideal size for putting around your neck as well. On this side we have Nokia branding, and there used to be like another Nokia branding, just like a piece of cloth like thing that usually goes here, but that was known for coming off these phones, and in my case it's gone. On the other side we have the SIM card tray, where you pull it like that and you open it like that. You can put your SIM card in. Let me open that up. So full-size SIM card goes in there. It uses a full-size SIM card. We have the speaker down here as well. At the top we have nothing, and at the bottom, well, somewhat of the bottom of the phone, we have the back with the leather that I mentioned earlier, and the camera, and a single LED flash. So now let's move on to discussing about the display. So let's first unlock the phone, and you lock it and unlock it by pressing that and this. So it still has the classic Nokia lock. You can go to the menu like that, and the display on this thing is a TFT LCD display, so it does not have a full set of it does not have a full set of colors. It has only 65,000 colors, so not the full complement of colors, so 65,000 colors. The surface, as you can see, the mirror surface, it goes over the display. And if I let it turn off again, let me go back and let it turn off again. The display disappears under the mirror, and it kind of looks flush, unless of course you look in closely. Now since it's on charge, it's not going to turn off that fast, but as you saw earlier, when the display is off, it somewhat disappears under the mirror kind of surface. So the display size is quite a bit of a big question there, because I could not find an exact size online. Everyone just all the main phone specification websites such as GSM Arena and etc. just give me the resolution, but there was no mention of the actual size of the display, so I had to get a ruler out and measure it myself. So it's around 1.6 inches, maybe 1.65 inches, a slightly bit more than 1.6 inches when you measure it diagonally like that or like that, like that or like that. So 1.65 inches is a good estimate for the display size on this phone. Kind of strange that no one had mentioned the display size, because for the 70 to 80 the display size is mentioned on all those pages, but usually GSM Arena usually includes that, but I couldn't find any information on the size of the display, which is quite strange, but I measured it myself, about 1.65 inches. And like I said earlier, it's a TFT LCD display with 65,000 colors. The resolution on this display is 104 by 208, so 104 by 208 pixels. It has an 18 by 9 aspect ratio. Obviously, it's taller than usual. And like I said earlier, it has the mirror surface as well. Pretty small display, but it just gets the job done for what it is. As you can see, navigation with this scroll wheel like thing is just perfectly fine. And this phone was not meant for looking at photos and stuff. I mean, it does have a camera, but still, this was not a multimedia consumption phone. Obviously, it was more focused on style. And I'm pretty sure whoever owned this phone will have a secondary, or this probably is the secondary phone for them, because this was more focused on style and was not mass produced, hence why this phone is also really rare today. And it was really expensive as well. So that is the display. So now let's move on to the other features on this phone. And I mention other features because this thing technically does not have an operating system or a noticeably powerful processor, because it's just a basic phone at its core. There is nothing to this. The main focus on this phone is its design, obviously. So let's move on to the other features on this phone now. So now let's discuss operating system, and technically this is not a named operating system. It's not Symbian in any way or another. It looks like Symbian, but it's not Symbian. It's just a basic interface. As you can see there, you have your bunch of stuff. Let's go over it. We have messaging up top, and then next we have contacts, log, settings, gallery, media, which the camera is also under, organizer, audio messages, web. You could browse the web if you want on this tiny display. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if it was 2005 and you had no other option, you know, you could have gone for it, but whatever. And it has number entry as well to put your that's basically the dialer. Actually, the number entry, you can select it. That's basically your dialer, because there is no dialer on the phone itself. So pretty basic operating system there. It resembles Symbian in some way or another, but in no way is it Symbian. It's very similar to the Nokia 3300B, as I did in a video previously. You can find that video up here. The 3300B also has an identical operating system, Symbian. However, it's not Symbian. As you can see, I took some photos for the video as well earlier. It's just a very simple, basic operating system. The processor on this, I could not find any information online. Not even the most detailed tech specs on this phone give you information about the processor. It's probably a Texas Instruments processor, a single core, maybe 100 to 200 megahertz. Again, I'm guessing based on the power of, based on what this phone's purpose was. and gauging by looking at a bunch of other Nokia phones from its era, I can gauge that it probably has maybe 100 to 200 megahertz, single core, probably Texas Instruments, most probably Texas Instruments, because Nokia used, in most of all their phones, they use Texas Instruments processors. And that's about it. It's just a basic processor. Couldn't find anything online, sadly. If you guys know exactly what sort of processor this phone is running, let me know down in the comments, because I could not find. And I'll also pin your comment to the top so everyone else can see it. For other tech specs, I guess all I can say is 1,000 fields of entry. That's the phone book. You can put 1,000 phone numbers in this, and it has a call records as well, so you can store 10 dialed numbers, 10 received numbers, and 10 missed calls at the same time. So very basic stuff. And it has an internal memory capacity of 52 MB, and get this thing has no memory card slot. So 52 MB is 52 MB. If you run out of space, you're done. There's no way to get more space on this thing. And 52 MB even for 2005 is kind of low, because back at that time 128 to 256 MB was somewhat of the standard, and 512 I think was the max. But 52 MB is quite low. So like I said, this is not a phone you can rely on. It's more of like a side phone where you take to weddings and like parties and stuff, just to like freaking show off, or like whatever you want to do. Like, hey, look, I have an expensive phone, it's really shiny, blah, 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 blah. But this is not a practical phone to use from your day-to-day. If you wanted a practical phone for day-to-day use in 2005, you could have gone for any of Nokia's N series or E series or something else. But this was definitely not a practical phone by looking at all the specifications this thing has to offer. There's really nothing much there. Anyway, now let's move on to the camera. So the camera on this thing, it is pretty basic. That's the only word that I can use for it. It's a 2 megapixel camera, fixed focus with a single LED flash, and can record video, which is QCIF. And the resolution of that video is 176 by 144. And now the frames per second, again, I could not find anywhere online. So it's one of those things that you kind of have to guess. And by a good estimate, I'd say is around 15 to 20 frames per second-ish. It could be more, it could be less. It's really hard to gauge because it's a tiny video. Like I said, it's just 176 by 144. So that's the resolution. So it's tiny, and because it's really grainy on bigger screens, it's really hard to gauge. But I'd say it's around 15 to 20 frames per second. So now, like I don't think I mentioned earlier, but I'm gonna say it now. The battery on this phone is shot to all hell. So the moment I take this charger off, it'll last like 2 minutes and then it's done. So all the photos that I could take for this phone, I took inside the house with the best lighting I can. So there's not going to be any outdoor photos, any greenery or plants or anything. So sorry about that. The battery on this phone is just shot, and the only ones available as replacements on eBay are really, really expensive. They're actually more expensive than the phone for some reason. But so yeah, all the photo samples will be shot indoors as well as the video samples. So now I will roll the photo and video samples. This is the video sample for the Nokia 7380, and as you can see, it's pretty decent for 2005, but then again, this was not what this phone was meant for. It was basically just for show, basically a fashion sort of phone, so the video quality is not amazing and is limited to 30 seconds at max for each record. So as you saw there, the photo and video samples were obviously nothing great, but they'll pass for 2005. Obviously, they were not the best in 2005. There were phones from Sony Ericsson and Nokia as well, which were much better at taking photos, but it will pass for 2005 is the best word I can say. So nothing too great there, nothing too bad either, again, with relevance to 2005. Obviously, there's no front camera. You don't even need to question that, but whatever. This thing does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack. As I mentioned earlier, it has a 2.5mm headphone jack, as you saw there. It has FM radio, which is stereo FM radio, so not just FM radio. So I think around 2004 and 2005 was the time where stereo FM radio was coming up. Basically better FM radio than the grainy stuff that they used to have before that. This thing also has Bluetooth 2.0, but it does not have Wi-Fi. It does not have GPS either. There are downloadable ringtones in MP3 and AAC format. So downloadable polyphonic ringtones, MP3 and AAC format. Simple MMS, SMS. It has a browser, like I said, but since there's no Wi-Fi, you'll have to use your SIM card. Has voicemail and memo. It has an organizer, and that's basically about it for the additional specs. So the battery on this thing is a removable, but it still requires you to kind of take apart the phone somewhat. So not all users could have removed this battery, but some users could have removed this battery. But generally, I don't think anyone who used this phone would have tried to open it themselves, would have just taken it to Nokia to replace the battery if they needed. The battery on this thing is a 700 milliamp hour battery, which is a BL8N battery, the same battery that the 7280 uses. So BL8N, really hard to find online, and the ones that are there are actually quite expensive. Standby time about 240 hours and talk time around 3 hours and 50 minutes ish. This is obviously on 2G. This phone was long before 3G. The colors of this phone it came in this standard color, and it also came, this is the white color, and it came in an amber color as well. The back was amber, but I feel that the white color is more nice as it contrasts better with the orange and the leather back as well. So yeah, that's about it I can talk about with this phone. There's really nothing much that I can say about this phone. It's pretty basic. Like I said, the operating system and everything is pretty basic. Yeah, so I guess as usual, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like down in this video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. Check out my social media down in the description below. Thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.